Hi, Sheridan Webb here from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support for busy learning and development practitioners or even subject matter experts. And today I want to tackle a question that does get discussed from time to time. And it's a really practical question, which is what we love in the Training Designers Club. And it's, how do I make content bespoke when I've got a mixed group? This is really important because we all know that the more bespoke you can make the content, the more you can make it absolutely relevant to the people who are receiving the training, the more likely they are to know how to apply that and therefore have the confidence to give it a go when they go back to work. And ultimately, that's what we want to achieve. We want people to take the things that we teach them, apply them in the workplace and bring around better results. But it can be really tricky unless you're training a very carefully selected group who you know all do exactly the same job and they all have exactly the same challenges. Quite often we are faced with quite diverse groups. So although we may be tackling quite a general topic, we want to be able to make that really speak to them so that they can go away and do something with it. I'm thinking of things like how to manage your time or how to manage conflict. There are so many different ways and so many different things that we can do to apply that. If we choose one, we may be excluding certain people in our audience. So there are 5 ways that immediately spring to mind that I think you can really bespoke your content quite easily to make it relevant for everyone in the room. The first way is, perhaps unsurprisingly, make sure you choose lots of different examples. So you've got lots of examples that you can share that are really specific. Not every example is going to be relevant to every single person in the room, but as long as one is, that will help to bring the content to life. The second is a variation on this, and that is to make different case studies for the different types of people in the room. You know how much I love a case study. They are just such powerful learning techniques. And it's something that I've definitely used in the past. When I had a group of first line managers, some worked in an office, some worked on a factory floor, and some managed drivers. So we were discussing one particular topic, but each group had their own bespoke case study so that they could think about how they were going to apply the learning in on a production line in a busy office or when they are managing essentially remote workers. So it was tackling the same challenges, tackling the same topics, but it was doing it in an environment that was familiar to them. So that's a really powerful way to make that content bespoke without you having to create 3 different versions of a course. Another thing that you can do, again, is a variation on this, is to get the delegates to tell their own stories. So you introduce the concept and then get them to work in small groups to tell a tale of when they saw that in action or when it would have been useful to them or when it might be helpful to them. Because people do love to talk, and if you follow me and know the master process, you know that that's a really powerful part in sifting for the meaning, helping people to find their own meaning from the things that you're presenting. And talking of presenting theories, models, ideas, here's another 2 ideas that you can try. One is to get people to populate their own model. So you present a simple model such as the Eisenhower grid, the urgency importance matrix, for example, and you ask people who work in similar roles to go and populate their own model. So what type of things that you do would fall into each of the quadrants, and then they can present back to each other, and that really helps to understand the differences in the roles, and if there's a problem, a potential problem with supporting each other, cross-function working, silo mentality, they can perhaps see why certain things that are very important to them may not be so important to somebody else. And the final method that I have used with a group is to get them to create their own model or process. So this worked really well. I used it in when I was covering conflict management because I had a very mixed group. Some people worked directly with customers and other people never saw a customer, so it was more about conflict with colleagues. So I couldn't present a 5-step process to resolving conflict because it just wasn't going to work. What we did instead is we talked about some of the general principles involved in conflict management, and then I sent them away to come up with their own process, their own mnemonic, their own model, and to present it back. And you know what? They loved that. They really got so much from thinking about the underlying principles, thinking what that meant to them in their workplace, and then creating a simple way of remembering it so that they may go away and apply it. There's always so many ways that we can cover different challenges and we can meet different needs. All we need to do is get together and discuss them as the creative, brilliant group that we are. So if you want to be part of a virtual L&D team whose brains you can pick whenever you like, whose ideas you can build on, check out VIP membership of the Training Designers Club, or just visit the website for more ideas or subscribe to this channel. It's www.trainingdesignersclub.co.uk.